Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Crashers podcast, a podcast where we discuss our thoughts on gaming news. I am Angelus de Mortiel, together with Deathshroud09.
Hey!
Major Stupidity.
Here with dogs barking in background. What's up?
And Kev the Gamer. Yes, I just threw you off.
Doom is greatness.
That's actually my distraction.
Deal with it.
I just totally threw Kev off by doing him last. He doesn't know what to do with himself now.
I do. Boom! That's what I do with myself.
All right, so this week we have a lot of stuff to talk about that really doesn't mean anything, and it's mostly just comedy. But before we get there, we're going to talk about the games we played this week, which, Kev, what have you been playing this week?
Today I've been playing Fallout. I went back to Fallout. I still haven't touched the DLC. I just went back and I've been doing side quests. So I've been doing that. I beat Doom this week.
The question, wait, before you go on Doom with Fallout, how many mods are you running?
Actually, 0 right now.
God, why own it on the PC?
1440p looks amazing even without mods.
Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, so I'm playing Fallout.
You didn't even get the dialogue overhaul mod?
No, I literally reinstalled it yesterday.
You should get that dialogue one at least, just because.
I read the dialogue mod. The dialogue mod is great. I just didn't put any mods on today.
I would get that.
I literally just reinstalled it.
That'd be like the first thing I would download.
You should find a mod.
The City mod is the first mod you install at all times.
You should actually go and find a mod that's designed for consoles, and then bitch at the modder that they should make it for the PC.
Well, we're going to talk about that later. That's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that doesn't even exist.
No, it doesn't.
So, I beat Doom. Oh, I love that single player. That's one of the best shooters I've played in a long time, single player wise.
But that multiplayer, though.
The multiplayer is fun. It's casual, but it's not. The problem is, I think everybody wants every shooter to be competitive, esports kind of thing. And that's not what Doom is.
No, it's trying to be like a Unreal Tournament / Quake clone, and it does a very bad job.
I don't think it's trying to. I think it's just, hey, here's some guns, here's some maps, go fuck each other up.
It's really the replayability of that is pretty low.
Kev, was the quality on par with the latest, with the last Duke Nukem game? Because that was quite an exceptional game.
Duke Nukem. Oh no. Hey, you know what? In Doom, you don't get to go to a strip club.
Yeah, that's you get to chainsaw demons in half.
Yeah. It's a different sort of porn, right?
I guess.
It's gore porn.
I got my fix out of watching Suicide Squad previews. Because Margot Robbie, oh my god.
I'm back.
Gorgeous. Other than that, I've been playing Uncharted. I was playing Uncharted for a while last night with Nick and a couple other guys. I played that.
Was that on PS4?
Mm-hmm.
And then Nick left himself in the Discord chat for several hours with some like evangelist stuff going on.
Apparently it was his wife's CD. I don't know. I heard some crazy stuff going on. It was
she put it right next to.
Let me disconnect from that.
She put you do. That was great.
Well, I think he did it all from his phone. I don't know. I know I carried him a couple matches. He won't admit to it.
In other words, he carried you.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No. Nick doesn't carry me.
I gotcha. So, any other games?
Not really. This week has been like a taste test week. So I played a little bit of Fallout, like a little bit of GTA, a little bit of Doom, a little bit of Uncharted, a little bit of everything.
It's like 99% more games than I played this week. But, Joe...
You've been on The Witcher like nonstop. What you talking about?
Joe, what have you been playing?
Dark Souls 3 still. I started to play through The Witcher 3. I haven't started the game back up in a couple days, though. Actually, I've been busy a lot this week. But, yeah, pretty much just Dark Souls 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's mostly it.
Travis, how about the mobile games? Have you
mobile games?
Have you played any?
Can that laptop run CS:GO?
Fruit Ninja?
I've no Fruit. I got past my Fruit Ninja phase a while ago. That's actually a pretty fun game, guys. If you've never played it,
So what frame rate are you getting on Dota on that laptop?
I haven't played Dota in a while.
Okay, what frame rate were you?
I've been seeing him play Enter the Gungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing Gungeon. I played some Isaac.
Isaac is awesome.
Isaac is really good. I haven't gotten Afterbirth yet, but looking possibly.
I need to play Enter the Gungeon again. It's been a while.
I
Dark
never
Souls 3
played
came
it.
out, and I just was like, no time for anything else.
Trivia Crack and some other knowledge-based game that my girlfriend's been playing.
It's funny joke he's bringing up Dark Souls. I love Dark Souls, but I can't bring myself to finish it.
Was it Iron Pineapple? That's the only way to play Dark Souls. It's like Iron
I know
Pineapple.
nothing of this Iron Pineapple.
Okay, that's a YouTube channel that you need to go check out immediately.
He makes really funny videos.
So just get off the podcast and go look at Iron Pineapple.
When you're talking about high class peasantry, he makes high class trolling Dark Souls videos. What did Siphon call it? The butcher barber quartet or something like that. Essentially, a bunch of guys with pole arms that would just start doing the spin move.
Oh yeah,
Get guys to invade him and then just
bookmark it.
slice them to pieces.
I'm going to bookmark the guy's channel now because some of these troll channels are great. Like I watched this guy Black Worm, or the Worm or whatever. He's a Call of Duty channel, and that's all he does. He trolls people. He camps just to piss people off.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that camps in the corner with a shotgun and LMG.
See, I went into Dark Souls 3 this week, and I set up one of my characters as a Silver Knight, who, based off one of the enemies, like literally wears their entire armor set, wields their shield, and he wields a sword that's close to their sword. And he even has the great bow, because in the one area they're in, a bunch of them sit there with fucking great bows and snipe you from rooftops. So I invade with him with the ring that makes it look like you're not a phantom, and I just go and hide out up on the rooftops with the other Silver Knights. And I just sit and try to snipe people with the great bow. That's great.
That is actually a pretty brilliant plan.
But before we move on, I have to ask Travis too, because he's officially 21. I saw some drink.
Oh,
What you sipping tonight?
is that like a this is a trick question?
Probably
This is the first
probably.
time you see me with a drink.
On the podcast.
Buffalo Trace bourbon.
It is the only way he gets to this podcast. That's just the way
Remember,
it is.
Jeremy only got to playing Rocket League.
you joked earlier tonight on Discord that like Discord allows you to see what like the people skipping the podcast to play games. I was like, Jeremy didn't need to do that. He would actually play the games while he was on the podcast.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so as far as what I've been playing this week, I think I've literally played one game nonstop for the past 3 days.
Are you guys picking up the really loud bass that's apparently going on outside of my house?
Nope.
This is you, bro.
Okay, 'cause
you
good
got
you're not
somebody
picking
with
it
the
up.
spinners.
Yeah, it's just outside my house. Just sometimes some jackass goes, let's just turn up my music as loud as possible. I'm up in my room and I'll just hear
Is this in a car or is this his house?
I have no idea. It just plays really loudly from this one house all the time.
You know what? It's kind of funny.
He loves to do it at night too.
People spend so much money on these indoor sound systems, and they spend nothing on like sound, like any soundproofing
Soundproofing.
or sound management.
Well, soundproofing, what is that going to do for me?
I can hear through my
I need
headset
to be
right
able
now,
to
just-
meeting you're in.
Or like acoustic, stuff that, generally speaking, I don't know what
Makes it pleasurable for the rest of the world?
I don't know what the actual term is.
Yeah,
That-
I know what you're getting at. That keeps the sound end.
It improves your audio quality, but it also like helps with keeping sound from going over.
He parked his car in his living room. He's just like, it's both.
I see Morty, or not Morty, but Travis is still playing Isaac. The fact that you can play Isaac at the same time as doing this podcast on that laptop is amazing.
I'm not though.
It shows that you're in game, dude.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
right now.
I think your stuff's broke.
Just-
But yeah, in any case, so I only played one game this week, and it was pretty much all this week, nonstop for the past 3 days. And it was Witcher. Yeah, that game just takes so. I feel like I haven't even
Oh, yeah.
done anything for like almost
You just
40
been doing
hours into
side
the game,
quests?
and I haven't done anything in it yet.
What have you
Sounds
just
like
been doing on
Witcher to
side
me.
quests?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I put 49 hours into it, and
Just
I did that to beat it because otherwise you can get lost in those side quests.
And finding all the treasure shit just
Mhm.
everywhere. And then
And I was totally
Zyphon's
about the
like
main story.
Zyphon's like, yeah, but I gotta play the first 2 games first. I'm like, not gonna get to it for months.
Yeah.
Witcher
I
1
couldn't
and
even.
Witcher 2.
I can't do Witcher 3. I can't do Witcher 1, man. I just can't do it.
It's
You guys-
game is
essentially
so
a CRPG.
you guys
Oh,
don't.
I know it is. It's just
So you guys also enjoy Bar Simulator.
Bar Simulator.
Bar
What about
Simulator.
Go to Work Simulator?
Go to Work Simulator.
Go
Yeah,
to work
they showed that at PlayStation Experience last year.
Oh my. So, just Big J, I do thank you for joining us and for the random questions. I just do want to throw it out there, though. We tend to stick mostly to a series of topics on here, and then if we have time, we occasionally might answer a question here or there. So, just randomly spamming questions on here. Probably not going to answer it on the podcast, but we may answer it in the chat. So, just to give you a heads up on what you should be expecting there. But in any case, though, let's go ahead and get moving on to our first story, which is amazing, and I can't get over just how much fun this is. So, Fallout 4, obviously Bethesda game, everybody loves the mods, but so they released the creation kit for consoles, and now all of the console players are harassing modders and demanding that they make mods for Xbox One, whatever consoles. So while it's easy enough to laugh at the console players being immature and peasants or whatever, PC players have done similar stuff, demanding that exclusive games be made for PC. You find those entitled fucks everywhere. So
I feel like this is a slightly different scenario.
It is.
this is different. This isn't the same thing.
And this is also a case
the mentality of entitlement.
No. When it comes to PC players asking for ports, that is literally consumers going up to them telling them, hey, we are willing to pay for your product, but please, you need to bring it to our platform.
That is not how they word it, and you know it. It's the
No,
internet.
that's what I
The way they do it is,
A lot of the
fuck,
petitions
insert
are
studio
right where
name.
Morty's at.
They don't make nothing for PC. They're
It's
bastards
still
and
different.
peasants.
It's more. I've seen both.
It's not
I've
the
seen
same.
both, but I've seen quite a few that do exactly what Morty's describing.
Yeah, it's the internet. They aren't polite or kind or, would you, good sir, would you please bring this game to our platform? We would be mighty obliged if you would do such a thing. No, they're like, they come out of the gate with insults, swinging their fists. That's the way the internet is. So, like I said, it's the sense of entitlement. They don't say, "Hey, we want to buy a game from you." It's, "Hey, you need to make this game fucking available."
Made by enthusiasts who are not paid for their work.
In most
Games are a
cases.
product sold by a company.
Yes.
I feel
Right,
like
but
I feel
the
like
Bethesda. Keep in
It's
mind
not-
too, Bethesda used mods as a marketing ploy to sell
Yes.
this on consoles. Hey, you're gonna get to run mods, and the
Exactly.
whole time the PC community was telling these console dudes, half these mods struggle to run
will
on
say-
our $1,200, $1,500 rigs.
We can
Your
laugh.
Xbox ain't gonna handle it.
We can laugh at entitled assholes and how big of dicks they are, but let's be honest. This isn't surprising that random assholes on the internet are entitled. What is bad and what we can blame is Bethesda sitting and using mods as marketing, as
Yeah.
basically an incentive, telling them we're going to bring mods to your games,
And
guaranteed.
a lot of console players thought it was gonna be
and
all
that's-
the mods.
And Joe actually just answered where the question I was leading on this is, where does that sense of entitlement come from? He nailed it right on the head. It's essentially comes from Bethesda marketing up this, like, that, hey, mods are coming to platforms that
I
aren't
wanna note that I
PC.
said it before Joe did, so I'll give
fi-
him my credit. Damn it.
I give Joe the credit for everything you do, pretty much.
I've noticed.
And then I give Travis the credit for everything Joe does. So.
Like, have you guys seen the I linked it in the Discord chat, the infographic showing a couple of the comments?
Mhm.
Like, just Man,
one that
should I just read the really long one that's off there?
well, you can read that, but also post it in the actual chat for the.
I'll link the chart there.
Yeah, just because it's
Well, I
hilarious.
mean, it's on Reddit too. Like I saw it on the PC Master Race subreddit.
Oh yeah, it's not on the front page anymore. You have to search, but I just type in Bethesda and it's there. But no, my favorite comment is literally, "Look, bruh, I don't give a fuck about your PC Master Race BS. I love my Xbox One. Like many people out there, I work and pay bills. Unlike most PC fanboys, I don't have mommy and daddy's money to throw down." By the way, he's misspelling like every other word. Just,
Yes.
you know.
You should actually read it as he's spelling it.
Don't do it. It'll give us brain cancer. Try to translate it.
Money to throw down at an $6,000 computer. I just came here for a GDMF
Not that motherfucking AK-47 mod.
AK-47 mods. Is that too much to ask for? It's only the single most mass-produced firearm in history. All capitals. So far out of here with your basement dweller misconceptions about consoles. Somebody just sounds jealous that mods aren't PC anymore. Also, your argument about FPS is dumb. He spells dumb, D-U-M-E-N. As the eye can only see 30 FPS. Fag. And this is a comment asking for a console version of the mod, while also calling the guy a fag for being on PC.
Like,
you know
like,
what
seriously,
though? If some of these console mods ended up with rootkits on them, I wouldn't even be mad.
like seriously, this is the kind of. Let me give you a tip, console players. If you want someone to do something for you, you ask nicely. You don't demand it, and you don't insult them while asking.
This
for
sounds like
Fair, this guy is the extreme. This guy
I'm hoping this guy's trolling.
I was about to say this sounds like something somebody.
No. The other
going right.
No. I will throw it out there. The other great one was, please add to Xbox, but not PS4, as PS4 does not deserve mods. They are hackers like PC.
I'm pretty sure that's not real. It can't be.
That's.
You go on to the actual
I actually went on the Bethesda forum and saw a lot of comments like this. And they were on the Fallout subreddit too. They were deleting them left and right.
What's even funnier is the mod creators have come onto the Reddits and have flat out been like, the more I see these posts, the less I want to make a console version of this mod.
So the infographic, the best part about it is it says, total comments 245, total beg please 176, 72% of comments begging for console version. Which console begged the most? Xbox 60%, PS4 40%. No, all recorded mentions of console were in context to the system rather than in-game console. Because people on PC know what that is. But yeah, so. My thing is so Bethesda did go out of their way to market this, like making a big deal out of the marketing on this. It's
the same shit with the paid mods with Skyrim. Like they've been pushing this so hard. They saw the modding, they saw how big it became, and they were like, how can we benefit from this? Other than the fact that they already were, because it boosted the sales of their games, but that wasn't enough for them. They're like, how else can
they gave you the mods 6 months later.
Yeah.
Oh, they give you a beta to try mods 6 months later.
Yeah. And it's probably not even going to get covered. Like I said, it's going to take a while because you're going to need someone who owns Fallout on Xbox and PC. And not on PC to motivate them to want to do it. Guess what? Almost every person I know of that owns Fallout and has both a PC and a PS.
There is an enormous roadblock too. I've heard from modders. Fallout 4 Script Extender, which Script Extender has been a tool they've released for every Bethesda game, which is basically mandatory for any mod that's more complex than a simple shader or texture thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't run on consoles.
Nope.
So pretty much every mod that's even slightly complex that needs Script Extender will not be able to run on the console, and there's no way to fix that.
But come on now, what? You know what? You don't need Script Extender for my goddamn motherfucking AK-47. You don't need that.
Say that. You don't need that.
It is the single most widely produced firearm in history. Okay.
All I can think of is Nicolas Cage in Lord of War.
That's why I kind of question it. But yeah, so I guess the
So and I think I can wrap up this. Something else to say about this situation is when it comes to consoles and PC and stuff, I feel that this kind of firmly goes into the realm of nah, you did it first.
Well, I mean, it's begging culture. It's like, as much as console players bitch about PC players begging for ports, it's honestly kind of funny to see them begging for mods.
yeah,
And again, I think it's different. When you're asking a company to create the product, and like even when they say it like that, it's like at the end of the day, they're basically saying, "Hey, I want to pay for your product, but I want it on my system. I'm not going to buy the console to get the product." That's
Right,
different.
and there's nothing wrong. That's wrong.
Enthusiasts, people who do this not for a living, just they do it for the community, and basically telling them, "Give me my console version. I demand it. I paid for this game." It's like, I don't give a fuck if you paid for the game. It's like, I remember someone made up the reference. It's like going and buying a pie from bakery and then going and demanding from some guy's house who bought the same pie some of the whipped cream he made for him and his friends to share, to put on their pie.
Actually, it's a really, really good metaphor.
These guys don't owe you shit. Doesn't matter what you paid Bethesda.
Right, you're basically asking other users for extra shit. It's very, very true. I mean, and like you said, though, like, I don't know, I think exclusivity is kind of bad for gaming for the most part. With the exception I can see of, like, first-party stuff. Like, I don't think Sony really benefits a lot from putting, say, Uncharted on PC. They don't benefit a lot from it. Yeah, they'll get some extra software sales, but they're going to make more getting you to buy a PS4, buying all your games on PS4, hopefully, and then getting the license fees off multiplats.
yeah,
I'm still not convinced that, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but and just a note to Sam on Twitch there. So yes, people on PC do pay for games. We just pay a lot less for them because Steam Summer Sale, it's coming up. June, baby. Get ready to empty your wallets.
Yeah, they sit right around Father's Day.
Yep. Get ready to empty your wallets,
great.
everyone.
I can
Not buy new.
So many purchases.
Travis, you are not allowed to buy games during the summer sale. You must ascend.
Yeah, you have to
save
save that for a new
I wonder how
computer.
many copies of Shower with Dad Simulator they're gonna.
Oh, God.
What?
That's actually a real game. Not a joke. Shower with Dad Simulator. Just when you thought the world was a bizarre place.
Buy Doom! Damn it, buy Doom!
Doom is Shower with Dad Simulator, if you get what I mean. You're not showering in water.
Shower with Dad Simulator Alien Edition.
Yep. Hey, I'm just saying, there's got to be one of those demons with tentacles.
Everything will be okay. PFG for the win.
Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so... Goddamn motherfucking AK-47. I can't get over that.
God.
Ah, yeah.
Reddit. You gotta love Reddit, though.
Oh, yeah.
Reddit's so good.
Reddit's just pure comedy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of pure comedy, we have another bit of pure comedy tonight. Since this is going on our trend today, Polygon. So Polygon, a video got released of some guy playing Doom. From a Polygon guy playing Doom. So badly.
I mean,
Link to the story is in the description of the video on YouTube here, but
I wish we could have like the clip playing with us talking over it, just so the audience could like see it while we were talking about it. So it's just you have to see it.
Well,
You
we'll
have
probably
to see
get
it to
DMCA
believe
claimed
it.
anyway. Yeah, we'll probably get copyright noticed. But
Yeah.
this is like the dictionary definition of Timmy No Thumbs.
I find that would be like quite, and bad for the podcast, but quite ironic and hilarious at the same time. Polygon copyright noticing somebody.
You know what? They could sure as hell try, and I will jam that back down their fucking throat. Because we're not showing any of their content. We are just literally talking shit about how bad they are. There's a lot of it's regularly considered to be a joke anytime Polygon reviews an RTS game because apparently they are extremely bad at them, and they play
What is it?
maybe
Yes.
I think this is just proving that Polygon is bad at games in general.
Yep,
Most likely.
and there's been a lot of games like there's Star Fox Zero.
Yeah, they quit because it was too.
Listen.
Was it that one that they quit because it was too hard?
Yeah,
or was that the
it
last
was
of
too
us?
they quit.
I want to be like, all right, Polygon, listen, we
It's a
know you
fucking
want to hire
kids game.
actual writers to write your articles. You can do that. Go hire at least a couple people who actually are good at games to do your gameplay videos.
That, what makes it sad for me too is there actually is one person at Polygon that I used to love Tara Long's work at Rev 3 Games, and I just found out she's working at Polygon now. So that kind of depressed me because she got onto Twitter and I started getting into it with Review Tech. I'm like, I actually liked her on Rev 3, and now she's damage controlling for Polygon.
Because Polygon's not very good at it.
Like, it's just...
Like, the thing that's amazing to me is, okay, so not everybody's going to be good at every sort of game. In an ideal world, if I'm a video game review site, okay, and I'm having people review new game launches that come out, I'm going to have a guy who has a passion for FPS games. I'm going to have a guy who has a passion for RPG games, maybe even break RPG up into a few different things. An MMO guy, a JRPG guy, a CRPG guy, whatever, I'm going to get some guys a racing game or a sports game or, find people to fill those roles because not everybody is going to cover all of those bases. Like usually you might have one or two genres you really fixate on as a gamer, and then everything else might be a little taste tester here and there.
Right.
And I know for me, it's, I tend to go for strategy games as a primary, and then, my secondary is usually third-person shooters. And then usually RPGs are hit or miss. But they don't do that a lot at a lot of game publications. They tend to have, a handful of guys that are like, all right, hey, John, it's your turn to write this review. And he's thinking, like the Warhammer review, where, but yeah, no, like Total War reviews, they tend to not really play the game a whole lot. You know how I know that is because they'll rate it like an 8 or a 9. And then it comes out a week later that there's bugs to shit and the game is broken as hell. That's happened every Total War release.
I will say that problem is indicative of our entire games media because it's such a rush because they're all vying to get their review out the quickest. So
that's what embargoes are for.
That's the thing, though. It doesn't give them they just don't have the time to go in depth because they're literally on such a rush because they're in a state where it's like if they don't get their review out first, they're going to lose so much more views and money if they don't get that review out right away.
Unless you're Polygon, in which case does anybody actually read their reviews?
No. I like the stance that GameSpot actually takes. They took it with Doom, where they're like, if there's a multiplayer component, we're not even going to bother reviewing it until the game releases anyway. Because they want to see what's in the public after everything that happened last year with Metal Gear.
I figured out the marketing strategy. You guys know the marketing strategy for Polygon. You know what it is. They will deliberately rate a game much lower than the average in order for them to show up as an outlier on Metacritic, so people come and check out the article to figure out why.
I thought that was IGN.
Nope.
IGN does that too.
No, that's Polygon's notorious for that.
Isn't there a term for that? Was it being contrarian or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called salty.
No. They the thing is they may even like the game, but they'll deliberately rate it lower because then they show up on Rotten Tomatoes or aggregate ratings as being the outlier. Everybody rates this game like a 10 or a 9. Like Uncharted 4. Wasn't it like Uncharted 4, I can't remember if it was IGN or Polygon.
You get 9s and 10s across the board. One site gave it like an 8.
Yeah, just that random guy is like, fuck this game.
Which is why I tend to dislike numerical scoring.
I'm kind of there too.
Because people don't know how to use them.
A little off topic, but kind of on topic. I think it was on Polygon because I was researching Polygon today. I read a review for Doom. Okay, so their review for Doom on Polygon. This kind of goes into the comedy of how bad they are at the game. But besides that point, you read the review And it really sounds like the guy's mediocre the entire time. He's like, these parts were good. But really, it's repetitive and it's boring. And once you've seen it all, it just starts to get and the story just kind of falls off. Doom, like this is the guy's talking about Doom. He's like, and the story just kind of falls off halfway through, and it seems just contrary. And then you're like, wow, this guy seems to not really like Doom. 8.5. What the fuck? It's like 8.5 is like you really fucking like the game.
Yeah, which is again
the story
numerical
is okay.
scores.
The story is okay, but you don't come to Doom to play the story. You come there to blow some motherfuckers.
Well, no. I'm saying what I'm saying is that the actual written review was like pretty,
which is why again,
numerical scoring is like horrible.
Are bad.
But if you took out the numerical score, you would think that the guy really didn't like. It was a 5,
right?
A 5 out of 10,
because that's what it is. Like
nobody rates anything a 5. No one
like,
rates
who
below
knows
a 5.
what anything means? It's like I come into a game. It's like this game's a 9. It's like what the fuck does that mean? It's a fucking 9. It can mean something different to everyone. Some people could see that as perfect. Some people could see that as meh. Like
that's
why I like Steam's way of doing it is recommended, not recommended.
Yeah, exactly.
Good numerical systems like that generally have like a list of like this is
GameSpot does the pros and cons bit, but
it helps, but it's still
the arbitrary numerical system. I love there's one of them out there that does 100-point scale. Most people do 10-point scale. Then someone does a 5-point scale. It's like, what?
Let's be honest why the numerical score exists. It's because assholes are lazy. Like, people are like, I'm too lazy to read this review. Let's just look at the number. Oh, it's this number. Okay.
And it's also so they can do aggregate scoring. Now, the thing is that it's at what point now that you usually have a denominator of 10. Like you have the 1 to 5 scale. Well, just times the score it got by 2. It's a 100-point scale. Okay, just divide it by 10, and now you can literally now put everything at 10, and that's where essentially they get those aggregate scores. But what about the places that are like recommended or not recommended? Is that like just 10 or 0? Is that like a binary score system?
I mean, it's do you like it or do you don't? And I like those kinds of scores. I mean, it also has to take into account, I think, the person who's reviewing the game. Like we were talking about Polygon. If they suck at the game, chances are they don't like it. Or like I know we've had conversations with like guys like Angry Joe and Total Biscuit. Me and Total Biscuit like have totally different views on games. I respect the guy a whole lot for what he does for the industry, but him and I like very different kinds of games for very different reasons.
Yeah.
He will blast a game for things that aren't even a big deal to me.
Yeah. Like, and the thing is I've had
a big one for me.
I've had differences of opinion with him about a few things that he's said in reviews. Well, not reviews. I shouldn't say reviews. Because he really doesn't review things anymore. He just kind of gives you, like, plays through a bit of a game and gives you a sample of
First
it.
impressions.
Yeah, kind of a first impressions. But he's pretty thorough about it and will, be open about problems. The thing is that, like, whenever he's, like, doing his review of like or his impressions of Warframe that he did not long ago.
Those were hella biased.
Those were hella biased because not only did he jump into the game spending $80 off the bat for one of their prime packages, he got like an insane amount of the paid currency from referrals on people watching his Twitch stream. So, like, he jumps into it, literally being able to buy everything he wants and having no barriers to play the game and just enjoy it, whereas everybody else has to grind shit. His wife went the exact problem. She kind of saw that, I think, that he literally had no obstacles, and she was like, let me get the opposite opinion here, and tried it. And she also had kind of a weird approach of doing it, but
I feel
put them together, and you've got a good idea of what Warframe was. Right.
The thing is, though, is like my problem with her thing is she went in there and she literally was like, "I'm going to target this one specific thing that I want," and it's like I can't get to that because of
it's goals,
such and such. Yes, what I'm saying, like, what do people expect from being able to play this game completely for free? Like, you need to be able, yes, to do things, but I mean, not everyone obviously is going to be able to have the
a lot
like
of the
step
problem
up
that she
Total
was
Biscuit has.
what she was
but-
outlining, like first several problems was it's not immediately clear what you need to do to achieve certain things. Like, hey, I want to get this Warframe.
Even TB had that issue.
Yeah, like what do you need to do to get to these things? It wasn't very clear. Like as us being largely veterans with Warframe, we know what all this stuff is and know where to do. A new player, they get the initial tutorial on how to actually control their character in the game.
The new game
and then after
experience.
they're dropped with no fucking clue on how to do anything.
Pretty much.
Of course.
Yeah, that's why Kev can't really get into it, is because it's just like, the fuck am I even doing? Like, there's no purpose here, you know.
That wasn't my
That's exactly
problem
how I feel
with
about
thing.
it.
And I can't fault anybody for that. That's like I've been playing Warframe for a while. I'm very well versed in it, and I got started when there wasn't as much stuff, so it was kind of easier to get started. And it was literally like, hey, here's a planet. Okay, I've got a bunch of dots on these planet. Let's play Connect the Dots. And that's literally what it was. Playing Connect the Dots. Go from one mission to the next. It was an easy enough thing to do. But in any case, we are tangent off of Polygon and joking about how bad they are at gaming.
Well,
but
the question is, do you have to be good at games to review them?
I think that you should enjoy the genre of game. That's a big thing, and that's something I see a lot.
See, it's something unique to
FS
games
abandoned me.
because it's like you can sit and review books or movies. It's like you don't have to be
A good
good
review-
at watching a
review book.
movie. But it's like games, it's like you're stuck in a weird spot where it's like I think you need a certain level of competency. Because if you literally are like, you have to see this guy playing the game. Like it literally, I've had my like 10-year-old sister could probably play the game better than he could. Like his was so bad. It's like, this looks like a guy who's never played a game before.
Mm-hmm.
It was like hilariously bad.
Yeah,
It's like
he looked like he was
you
playing the
need
game one
a
time.
certain level of competency. You do.
Well,
like,
the thing is that here's the thing is that you do have to have. I will say, I'll retract my statement. Yes, you have to enjoy the genre you're playing. You do have to have a base skill as well. And the reason why I'm changing that is because in order to be able to accurately judge things from every facet, like for example, ideally it would be good to have a moderate level of skill, not too high skill, but not too low. And the reason why is so you
need to
can
be
get
able to
You
recognize
don't need to be
the
MLG, but I think you
difficulty
at
of
least
the
need to
game.
be
Yeah.
average.
you got to be able to tell, is this tough, is this easy. I'm about an average skill player. If it's tough for me, your expert skill players are going to find it probably moderate or easy. But your beginner players, they're going to have a hell of a time. If it's easy for me, it's going to be easy for everybody. Like it might be moderate difficulty for those that are beginners. The point is that at that moderate scale, you have headroom on both sides, but you also have to enjoy it, and you have to know about the genre. Like, what are key features of a genre? Like when you see some of the comments I saw on the review on GameSpot's review for Total War Warhammer, some of the people are just like, the hell are you talking about? Like someone was like, oh gosh, I this looks horrible. This I don't get these micromanaged games. It needs to be easier to run a match. Like it should be like StarCraft. And I'm like,
You can go play StarCraft.
Yeah, but the point is that you should have an understanding of what makes like a 4X game a 4X game, which is kind of sort of what really makes Total War games, I guess you could say. Is 4X was exploration, extermination, something, whatever, expansion, exploration, and 2 other X's. Point is that in my mind, I've always broken them down into a combination of grand strategy and real-time strategy, and that's largely what Total War does. But I understand those very well because I enjoy those games. I've poured over them. I know what makes a good strategy game. I know what makes a very frustrating strategy game. I don't review them, though, because I feel like I would probably not enjoy them as much. That's another problem. what if as a journalist you get jaded on doing reviews? You've seen so many bad AAA games come out. You just like, God, another review. I have to play this. That's another problem I think that happens a lot, is that they just don't enjoy games anymore and they're having to review them.
That could very well be a big deal. I mean,
reading through
especially
the article. I was gonna say reading through the article for the linked in the notes. It reminded me of the Witcher 3 review they did, where they literally took a point off the game for, first of all, sexism concerns, but then for the lack of people of color, despite the game taking place in a fantasy universe derived from
that was actually a big controversy. Polygon has run afoul of a lot of controversy.
They're mad about lack of diversity in medieval Poland in The Witcher.
Didn't you know?
Were you expecting random Mexican children to be running around in Poland?
But we need some Asians. Get them in there.
In medieval Poland,
and let's not forget about the sexism. You know that. See, Polygon has. They have
nailed it.
They have run afoul of a lot of social justice controversy, which is not. That's a whole nother can of worms on there. Is that whenever you're putting in a political agenda into your fucking video game reviews, that's a whole nother can of worms. There's this whole thing called, journalistic ethics, where you're supposed to be an unbiased and objective source, at least as much as you can be. No one's going to be completely objective. But
I like to believe that I'm mostly objective.
No.
Yeah, I believe I'm mostly objective.
We're going to discuss that. That's going to be our evergreen topic, Kev. We're going to get to the objective thing, because you and I, both two very subjective differences of opinion on
take a user poll of Kev's fan base. Is Kev objective?
Actually, most of them will probably say yes. That's the funny. Actually, I get that comment all the time. Well, but I think it's because I'm not biased toward a particular console.
That's why.
I think you can be objective, depending on.
I think you can be objective.
It depends on how infatuated you are with your current game.
Right. I think you can be objective and still have a preference.
Yeah,
that's the old days. It's like we all here generally prefer PC. I'm not going to sit here and beat up on the PS4. Just because it's PS4. I'm not anti PS4. I just prefer the PC.
I've tried to keep a marginal amount of salt in a lot of gaming experiences. I've gamed across the entire breadth and width of the board, so I get I kind of get what's going. I can keep a biased or an unbiased mentality, I guess, a lot, and I can see the difference. I can see whenever something's a little bit more biased, in my opinion. Whenever I see a Total War game come out, for example, like Rome 2, I wanted to try to be like, well, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I was lying to myself, and I knew it. That's why I kept my mouth shut. I was just like,
Adrian has a fan in the comments.
Yeah, apparently.
He likes you, Joe. Get her number.
What if it's like her sister? His sister. Come on now. Don't do that. Don't be like that. Anyway.
Ask her what the hell she's doing on Twitch.
Yeah. Watching games.
On the internet on Twitch.
But, that's something where I recognize a lot. I guess being aware of my own bias, that helps a lot. And you don't see that a lot with a lot of people. They pretty much... when the real problem comes whenever people start to assume that they have no bias completely, and therefore everything they say is like complete fact, And I've seen
that's the difference between bias and preference too.
Well, no. I'm talking like I try to sit there and say fact. Rome Total War 2 or Rome 2 Total War didn't have any problems at launch. Fact.
No, I got a better one for you. Mass Effect 3's ending at launch is perfect. Facts.
That's the thing is that now that is literally unequivocally it had problems, right?
Yeah. But some of us now you might not like me. I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I accepted it.
That's what they made, whatever. But I never once said that, oh, it's perfect, they can't change it. I'm just like, if they change it, they change it. I'd like to see them do more with it, but yeah, whatever.
Yep, exactly. And there's a lot of cases where I'm like, yeah, if someone's trying to pass off their opinion as fact, that's a whole different problem, and that's unfortunately a lot of these guys, they get in that position where I'm a reviewer, I'm a person that people look to for opinions on gaming, and that they develops this psychosis in their head. Well, their opinion can't be wrong, therefore, because people are looking to them for their opinion.
Isn't that the internet in a nutshell?
Right. But no, it's like, yeah.
Like I'm getting into it with people in comment sections for these 1080 reviews.
And
We'll
by
talk
the
a little bit
way,
about later, but this is a little different.
And by the way, Eli, I'm sorry, but Fallout 4 is not the best game in the universe.
You haven't played it? Your opinion doesn't count.
Oh, look at that. Nova jumped in there. That's right. Nova's got my back on there.
I don't remember. I think I was talking to Nova a while back. I don't even think he's a fan of Fallout. I don't recall. But
it's not the best.
What you call her? But no, people were telling me like factually my 970 can't run 1440p, and I'm like, but I've been doing it for months now.
Okay, here's another one. Fact: the eye can't see more than 30 frames per second. Fact.
Maybe if your eyes aren't
goddamn motherfucking AK-47. I can't get over that. Can't get over it. My opinion on why I disagree that Fallout 4 is not the best game in the world is because it is a great game. It is actually a great game. However, I do not state that it is the best game in the universe. There are no best games in the universe. I would say it's great for some gunplay in an RPG environment. It's great for being a sandbox, an open world. It is not great for a lot of its storytelling. I fucking hate the protagonist in that game. He or she makes me want to put my head through a fucking wall. I do not like the streamlined RPG elements where they're like trying to make it a Bethesda RPG and then they streamlined it into nothingness. And I just, like I said, there's things you like Bethesda games for. There's things you don't.
I hate how the game feels like it feels like a big empty platform for modders to build on.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what
it doesn't feel like
complete.
Like it's like you play without mods, and it's like there's so much stuff that's just like missing inexplicably. Just like, why wasn't this here to begin with? Like the first mods that came out were some stuff with armor, and it's like, why were these options here to begin with? It's like,
dude, the first mod was a titty mod. Those are always the first mods.
It's always, and I will go with Nova on there. Witcher 3, hands fucking down, does storytelling an open world so much better than Bethesda.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Bethesda's been doing it longer.
The combat, and I think Witcher 3 is a little meh.
There's hit or miss. Like, I love the pre-combat stratagem, so to speak, but the problem I do have as well is that it, like, when you see Dark Souls, right, enemies have patterns that they go through, and you have to do proper dodging and attacks and sort of things. I found myself regularly, like, I pretty much went with an alchemist build because it's easier that way. I just fucking chuck fire bombs at enemies and watch them roast. The thing is that it's like, it is janky sometimes because the enemies don't have preset patterns. And you have two dodges, one of which seems to be largely useless. Like,
which one?
You have a Witcher 3. You have like the little short dodge, and then you have a dive roll.
See, I found both those dodges to be good.
No, they're both good, but most of the time it's unless you're playing with Siri, in which case you have a short teleport and a long teleport.
No, the short dodge is great. Like the long dodge, the problem is it gives you so much less room to punish enemies when you successfully dodge them.
That's true, but there's a lot of enemies like werewolves, for example.
It depends on the attack type.
Yeah.
Quick dodge is good for humans.
Yes.
Or just humanoid combatants who come at you with weapons.
Yes.
Like, quick dodge is great for those fights. Obviously, you don't want that if a big fucking werewolf's clawing at your face. You want to get the fuck away from him. Like...
Yeah, it's... Now, whenever you're, like, sword fighting another human, or maybe non-human, whatever, that's where the short dodge, I use that a lot. Or in a boxing match, like, for example, whenever you're doing the fist fighting stuff, the Fight Club stuff, there's a lot. By the way, did you guys
How-
in the Fight Club in Witcher 3? Did you guys run into Durden the tailor?
I didn't do the Fight Clubs.
Durden the tailor, get it? Tyler Durden. Never mind. Zyphon will get it. I also ran into.
I want to know, because I'm watching Eli go on in the chat. How is Dark Souls choppy? Are you playing it on PS4? Maybe the frame rates are choppy? I don't know.
As I said in the chat, like a lot of these games are very different, and I feel like comparing them just side by side,
you're not gonna
isn't really fair to them.
No, like I said, Witcher does open world and storytelling better than any game I've ever experienced. Fallout is like, it has that great like adventure feel to it, whereas I didn't feel like I was adventuring so much.
It's a genuinely enjoyable just open world shooter.
Yeah. And now the thing is I tend, when it comes to Bethesda, I do tend to lean on Elder Scrolls more than Fallout. I believe it was Kev and I, are on the different sides of that coin.
Yeah, I lean more toward Fallout.
Yeah, and so
the animation work in Dark Souls was excellent, but maybe that's
what I've seen on Dark Souls.
Dark Souls are awesome.
That's what
I'm thinking. It may be something where low frame rate, which is why I'm asking if you playing on a console. A lot of this, I think, would be an issue on console.
Oh yeah, same frame rate issues.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can. Zyphon, stop being a bitch and take a hit. But in any case, So the thing is that when you look at those different games, they all do different things well. Bethesda game like Fallout, Elder Scrolls, you largely get the same idea of a game in two different settings. One post-apocalyptic, one medieval fantasy, and one therefore being post-apocalyptic deals with guns a little bit more, whereas medieval fantasy has magic.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, compare like Dark Souls to Fallout 4. It's like those are very different games. It's like they're both RPGs, but it's like they're vastly different. Like they're so.
That's
different
why I
from
was
each
saying.
other.
That's why I was saying. Like unless you have someone who's like an all-encompassing RPG aficionado, you really kind of have to like have someone that can tackle different types of RPG, because like CRPG fans are a whole different subset. Like they want super technical, super complex, but still with that great storytelling element, right?
You talk about card-based RPGs?
No. It's Is it called?
Computer?
I thought it was classic RPG.
Classic RPG. I can't remember exactly.
Old school shit like Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, well, or like Pillars of Eternity.
Usually isometric RPGs.
Yeah, it's usually isometric. Like Pillars of Eternity and Divinity: Original Sin are two like examples of really big hit CRPGs. They're isometric. They usually have a very complex system of like stats and whatever. So the people that are playing them tend to be very very numbers minded. You have to kind of like be, and they're very strategic in their battles, especially Divinity. That's why I love that game. It's like a mini strategy game every time you get into a fight. But the thing is that that's this whole subgenre, right? Then you have like the kind of open world, adventure type RPGs,
Dragon Age Inquisitions, stuff like that.
Yeah. And the thing is,
again, you have your Dark Souls, and then you have
which are kind of an action RPG,
right? And then you have your JRPGs, like Final Fantasy, which is something completely different.
Yep.
Something like Child of Light, again, completely different.
Dark Souls is like an adventure game mixed with a fighting game, especially in the PvP elements.
Right. I think of Dark Souls. I know it's an RPG. Dark Souls, I know it's an RPG, but it feels a lot more like an action game.
It's a lot more skill-based rather than stat-based compared to other RPGs. That's the thing about it. It's a lot more about motor skills and mechanics and the actual like input.
But numbers are still numbers in Dark Souls are still.
Yeah, they still
they matter, but not as much. Like if you're trash at Dark Souls, it don't matter how strong you are.
Yeah, I have to agree with Zyphon. It's not guns versus magic, Fallout versus Elder Scrolls. It's magic versus hillbilly tech.
Maybe not.
Laser and plasma weapons. That's not
when it comes to Dark Souls, maybe not as like a proportion compared to other games, but like Dark Souls, compared to a lot of other games, numbers are much more important in general. Like, and maybe not in proportion to how much skill is within the game itself of Dark Souls, but it's still a pretty numbers heavy game, in my opinion.
Yeah, in a manner speaking, yes. But if you like get into where numbers really matter on a lot of stuff, that's where you start getting into like MMO realm, right? In the MMO realm, numbers pretty much are a huge part of like end game kitting your character. You have to.
That's a whole other kind of RPG.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother realm. Is when you start getting at MMOs, they tend to be a different thing. And hell, even within MMOs, you can get different subsets, although they largely feel the same to me. I usually pick which skin I like better. Yes, they do mechanics differently. Like Terra, for example, is vastly different than SOTOR and WoW. But those still become very number heavy. It's like, oh, you get this piece of gear and you're like, that's a 3% blah, blah, blah. And you're like, 3% doesn't seem like a lot. Well, when you're min-maxing a kit, like 3%'s the difference between being min-maxed and not.
Yeah, I mean, with RPGs in particular, especially MMOs, there's a lot of meta that goes on too. Yeah, that's something you have to keep in mind.
Yep, I mean, Dark Souls 3, you still get, or Dark Souls, I should say. There's a lot of meta in there as well. You get a lot of meta builds on things like.
I come to Joe for my meta, so.
Like Joe's Dark Souls 2 poison build that he was all a big fan of. But yeah, so
unfortunately they gutted poison in Dark Souls 3, but now bleed builds are crazy good. So.
Hey, it's that Armor of Thorns, right? That's another Iron Pineapple one. 4 guys with Armor of Thorns just like dodge rolling into a poor dude. Can't do anything about it. It's just anyway, so no, Fallout 4 not the best game in the universe. It is a great game. Will I probably enjoy Elder Scrolls 6 more? More than likely. The thing
I want to see what they do with Elder Scrolls 6, because my problem with Skyrim, it was okay, but it was just
I hope they don't
buggy.
They don't casualize it. That's something I tend to be a little bit more. That's something I enjoy about a lot of the your older RPGs, is they tend to not have been scared of complexity as much. Yeah. Like if you look at the original Knights of the Old Republic, since I was built off of D&D, right? You had saving throws and shit like that. Where like if you don't know D&D, you're like, the fuck is a saving throw? +1 to saving throws? That means nothing to me. I'm just gonna skip that and go for Force Lightning, because why not? It's Force fucking Lightning.
Well, back on the idea of complexity. Do you think that's just because games are now designed with shorter life cycles in mind? Like, a lot of games aren't designed to be played 2-3 years down the road. They're designed to be played for a few weeks, maybe a month, and then they want you to buy somebody expects you to buy another game. They don't expect you to be playing the same game a year from now.
Yeah, like I kind of feel I feel like you might be onto something there. Although with Bethesda in particular, Skyrim, holy crap! It was released in 2011, still
and it's still one of the top played games on Steam.
Yeah, it's still an incredible, and it's 5 years later, and it's probably still going to be a couple more years before it's used by something else.
I feel strength is just.
I'm going back to the point I was making too. I've noticed it, and I'm noticing a lot of this generation, particularly with first-person shooters. Shooters where we're getting a lot less content. Think Battlefield Hardline. Think Star Wars Battlefront. A lot of games like that. We're getting less and less content. Like now, you're maxing out your whatever in the first-person shooter. Now in like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
As opposed to before, you were maxing out stuff in like 6 months to a year. Like you don't get like the games like Battlefield 4 where you could legit take like 6 months to hit max level.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is I noticed that in a lot of cases, your games that have tend to have more complexity and longer shelf lives to their legitimate play is usually MMOs or MOBAs. And with MOBAs, and I should say MOBA in a more generalistic term to battle arenas, the reason why is because when you like with MOBAs, is it's largely skill based. So as a result, you need to practice a lot to get better at the game to really see a return. With when you're talking about your MMOs, they take a long time to just grind through the quests and the levels and get yourself to max level and get that top gear and all that shit. So those have another level to it, another level of complexity. But I noticed this trend, what's starting to become the trend is, and it's a very generic term, it's almost as generic as saying RPG. And it's something I believe that was a point that Total Biscuit made. I might be confusing it with someone else, but where he's talking about hero shooters. And it's a very generic term. It's almost a description of a feature in the game rather than the genre of the game. Because, like, say, Battleborn versus Overwatch, two completely fucking different genres of games. But these hero shooter styles, which mostly Overwatch is a good embodiment of what I'm talking about, is your
Team Fortress, Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah, Team Fortress or Overwatch, those sort of games are battle arena hero shooters, or whatever, however you want to arrange that terminology. Where it's a battle arena, they're short matches, you're doing X objective or just killing the other team, and you all select from a team of heroes that have special abilities for each one. That's it. And you're in, you're out in 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. And then you go into the next match. There's no story. There might be some lore, like the characters in Overwatch definitely feel fun and they're very colorful and have their own personalities, and you can feel that with them. But there's no story mode. There's no single player in Overwatch. It's you play this multiplayer over and over again. There's not a whole lot of maps going on. There's not a whole lot of game types going on. It's pretty much play one way and that's it. And I think that appeals to what you're saying, like the kind of like them wanting a shorter shelf life. Well, they can crank out more characters and maybe some DLC. I don't know if they're going to charge for DLC, but they are
going to charge for characters, not maps.
Okay, but yeah, so it's like I feel like that's their kind of way of cranking out. Like it's a good business model for them, because if they have this short shelf life game that's very simplistic, very easy to get into. Some people will get bored and say, hey, what's this new character? Oh, let me buy this new character. Cha-ching. Another sale.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I wasn't even thinking about it like in those hero shooters. That's actually a good example. I was literally thinking about it like with the big AAA first-person shooters, kind of multi-platform ones, which Overwatch clearly is. But I was thinking more, Battlefield, kind of, I wouldn't say Call of Duty. Call of Duty is usually chock full of content. But shooters like that, Doom doesn't have a lot of content in the multiplayer. Actually, I got everything in a day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games that tend to be going in that direction. Or even Fallout. Like Fallout 4 is nowhere near complex as Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3 were.
Mm-hmm.
They just in depth. It's like games like that. People don't fit. Hell, I hear a lot of people didn't finish The Order 1886, and that game was like 5 hours long.
I don't know how you managed to do that. It's like you'd sneeze and finish that damn game. But I guess we can encapsulate the summary of this is you are really kind of, I feel like you might be shunting yourself by saying that unequivocally Fallout 4 is the best game in the universe. It's like, try some other games. You may find that there's other stuff.
Fallout 4 isn't even my favorite game of this generation.
Like,
let alone console gen, let alone in the universe.
I can't really say that I have a favorite game at the moment. I mean, Witcher 3 is my current addiction right now. I'm playing the hell out of that, but I don't really have a favorite at the moment. I imagine I will, when it comes out, Mass Effect Andromeda will probably take up months of my life. But
oh yeah,
I don't know. I just tend to like games. I either like it or I don't, but I don't really have always favorites. And I kind of feel like that if someone like says, "Oh, this is my favorite. This is my one favorite game," they put too much focus on that and then they miss everything else around them.
I don't know. Mass Effect 2 is still my favorite game of all time.
It's fine to have your favorites, something that because like this isn't a medium about enjoyment. If you say if you found a game that you just enjoyed playing more than many others, there you go. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Like,
No.
Nothing at all.
Like I
you
said,
know,
that's,
don't go.
that's
You can't go around yelling out it's the best game ever. You know, factually and objectively. But it's like I enjoyed this game a great deal,
and
and I have a great.
let's
love
be
for it.
honest. Any game made off of the Creation Engine is definitely not going to be the best game, unequivocally.
Like I fucking
Factually.
love Fallout New Vegas, but I can admit, like, especially technically, it has some issues.
Well, you know, the Creation Engine. Technically, I can't remember what it was called with.
Game Byro,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, Embryo or whatever.
Byro.
Gamebryo, that's it, Gamebryo. Crusader Kings is the greatest game ever. Crusader Kings
a
is
good
actually a
game.
good game. Yes, it's a good game. Not the best game ever. Like, I'm gonna
Tough game to get into, but man, is it pretty fun once you get into it.
like I said, thrown out there, any game you throw at me, not the best game ever. I don't care if I love the hell out of it, not the best game ever. You know why? Because
'Cause Mass Effect
everybody
Andromeda's coming?
knows it's a fact. It's a fact. E.T. for the Atari was the best game ever. It was such an amazing game and so unequivocally, factually better and superior than every other game. They had to actually bury it in the desert for fear that the world would burn down from people playing games
Like,
too much.
You know. I mean, there's probably some sadists out there. Those people enjoy putting themselves through suffering. They probably got some
You
enjoyment
mean
out
the
of
people that are
it.
still playing Call of Duty Ghosts? Those people?
Superman 64. Okay. Now we're.
Yeah, that was.
I still think ET has Superman 64 beat. I'm gonna throw it out
What
there.
about Back to the Future on the NES? That game was amazing.
I'm saying, did any of those games get buried in the desert?
You know what though? I think
Back to the
Superman
Future should have been
64
buried.
was played more.
Should have been buried and shot with a shotgun.
Yeah, let's not forget that one game. What was it called? Custard's what?
Custard's Revenge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Custard's
God.
That was a bad game.
God.
Hey, Battletoads was amazing.
Battletoads was actually a pretty fun game.
Battletoads was good. Get good, scrub.
But yeah, in any case, we have so far gone off the reservation. We're not even talking about Polygon anymore. But let's bring
Let's
it
talk
back.
about the next best game of all time.
No,
Fruit Ninja.
Fruit Ninja, yes. So, by the way, carrying on this whole the Angry Birds getting made into a movie, now they officially announced they are making a movie off of Fruit Ninja. Fucking
They're also doing one
Fruit
on
Ninja.
Tetris.
It could work.
I don't. Okay, maybe an anime show, but
just-
I kind of think they already had an anime show.
I'm just waiting to see what the arbitrary forced love interest is when it comes to Fruit Ninja.
Look, all right.
It's
It
It's
could
going to be with the raspberry.
Yes.
get the writers.
The raspberry
Get the writers
of
of
orange.
get the writers of Kung Fu Panda to work on it. It could work.
Oh my god! Are you gonna have Jack Black starring as the watermelon?
Yes.
No, it's as.
By the way, he
slice
dies.
of
He dies
watermelon.
like 30 seconds into the movie. I'm just
Did he get
spoiler
eaten?
alert. Spoiler alert.
Does he get eaten though?
No, it's Fruit Ninja. You don't eat the shit. You just cut it up.
Yeah, you cut it up, put it in a fruit salad, and eat it.
No,
No,
you
that's
just
not
cut it
how
up.
it works.
No,
You just
cut
waste
it
all
up.
the fruit.
Yeah, you just waste it all. It just falls down
I like to
and
believe
splatters
that
on the
fruit-
walls.
I like to
Don't you
believe
know there are hungry kids in Ethiopia?
I like to believe
Eat
that
that
Fruit
shit.
Ninja is kind of a, it's a comparison to the overabundance of capitalism and, our current consumer culture.
But will there be
Oh my
ethnic
god! Yeah,
diversity
Fruit
in the
Ninja's
Fruit
gonna
Ninja
turn
movie?
out to be this.
Well,
great
no.
Well,
Actually,
I need a black male lead character in Fruit Ninja, or I'm starting a petition.
well, no. The thing is that I actually kind of
You better not be a watermelon.
see. Travis is actually kind of getting to a point that I wanted to. Is this kind of indicative of Hollywood running out of ideas, or are game publishers really getting that greedy? Like,
Less greed, more, I don't know what this is. Like,
I need these
people-
developers to stop thinking like Activision and start thinking like Techland
Like,
and CD Projekt
I'm
Red.
kind of thinking like a combination.
People enjoy this game with no storyline about slicing up fruit. Time to make a movie about it.
I feel like it's a combination of bandwagoning and disconnected executives. Like,
Well,
what's
I
gonna be
mean,
worse than Fruit Ninja the movie or Battleship
well,
the
if
movie?
if you look at it, I guess I shouldn't be saying Hollywood running out of ideas, because it's not just Hollywood. Like, we've seen a record in this decade, and I mean that, I should say, actually, since the 2000s, right? We've seen so many fucking reboots and then reboots of
Oh my
reboots.
god.
Mm-hmm.
And in games are remaster everything. Like, for example, we'll throw it out there. We were discussing earlier today about the remaster of Batman, Batman
Arkham Knight and
Arkham,
Arkham City.
Arkham Origins. Oh no, yeah, you're
No,
right.
they're not remastering. No, just the first two.
No, it's just the
Arkham
first
City
two.
and Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, no, and it's like, for the newer console of games, it's just like, hey, we don't actually want to put any effort into making a whole new game. And those two games were made in Unreal 3, so they're just upgrading them to Unreal 4, so they look a little bit better.
I don't want to.
Why make something
It's hard to
new?
say this without spoiling it, so I'm going to spoil it. It is
Spoiler.
impossible. Yeah, spoiler alert. If you haven't played Arkham Knight, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't make another one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 9 times out of 10 you can't make another one, depending on how you ended the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
Kev, haven't you learned? They'll just retcon that shit when it gets convenient for them. Or
Liliana?
they'll just pretend it didn't happen.
The thing is
like
I'm not going to
Liliana.
lie. I'm not going to lie. I was horribly upset in the second game whenever certain events happened, of which carried over in the psychosis theme into the third game. And I'm saying that very vaguely, deliberately. But it's the same mistake that they make every goddamn Batman iteration. Hey, let's kill off the best fucking villain in the entire universe.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you guys keep doing that? That
Why would you kill the
ruins.
Joker?
Yeah, it's like first fucking 1989 Batman, and then again Dark Knight. It's like, stop killing him. You ruin your chances of any continuation.
Well, no, actually, the Joker in Arkham Knight was amazing.
That's Mark
And it was
Hamill.
just
That's
it was
Mark
Batman
Hamill's
hallucinating.
Joker. That's the guy who's done the cartoon Joker for nigh on 3 decades now, since the 90s. Like, Mark
Maybe.
Hamill. Mark Hamill's been doing it, I think, since the 90s Batman. And that's why, like, one of the things is that he's so deeply rooted in that. And he
did a phenomenal job.
well, yeah, no, and the thing is that whenever he, like, talked about, like, someone asked him, hey, can you do a Heath Ledger impersonation of the Joker? And he's like, no, that would be disrespectful. Heath Ledger did one of the most amazing jobs as playing the Joker, and I would not want to tarnish
That
it.
was incredible.
Yeah, and
That was incredible too.
You got to remember that Mark Hamill has been doing this for like almost 30 years now, and he looks at Heath Ledger's version and is like, props, man.
Man, it's just like I almost am like Heath Ledger. He just
Heath
knew.
Ledger is
He
probably,
knew
I think,
his time
arguably
was
the
running out,
best
and he was
Joker.
like, I'm going to give best performance.
Best
Yeah.
Joker
Oh,
performance ever, I
man.
think, is Heath Ledger.
Hey,
But I think Mark Hamill's probably easily an easy number 2.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the thing is,
You
though,
know what?
I'm excited to see Jared Leto's take on it, though. And
You know who was a
and
pretty
Suicide
good Joker? Like, obviously, he's not like Heath Ledger of like level or.
Are you gonna try to say Jack Nicholson?
Yes.
That's what I was-
Because Jack Nicholson didn't play the Joker. He played Jack Nicholson
Yeah.
with a purple suit. Jack Nicholson just plays Jack Nicholson. He doesn't.
Come
play-
on.
I don't think Jack
He was
Nicholson was a
pretty good.
great Joker. He was an okay Joker.
Here's the thing. I blame the rest of the movie. Like the movies he was in, the Batman movies he was in were pretty bad.
Tell me,
Like,
you ever
he
danced
was
with
like
the devil in the pale moonlight? It's like,
Well, I mean,
what
yeah,
is that even fucking
you have to have a
mean?
good script,
He
too.
did with the script. He did a great
Right.
job with a really mess script and really bad directing. Like
No, Tim
did the
Tim
best-
Burton's
I
weren't
don't
weren't
know.
the
He did
worst.
the best.
Once it got away from Tim Burton, Batman 3 and beyond, like Batman
Nicholson
Batman Forever,
did the
Batman
best.
and Robin, and then whatever the other one was. Those were
You know
so far left field. It was so
That's
crazy.
like blaming Ewan McGregor for the Star Wars prequels.
No, I'm not blaming Jack Nicholson for that. I'm just saying
he was
Jack
all right.
Nicholson plays Jack Nicholson in every movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
The Departed. Hey, guess what? It's Jack Nicholson as Jack Nicholson once again. Witches of Eastwick. Let's go back in time further. Witches of Eastwick.
Man.
He played Jack Nicholson. Oh wait, he's Satanic Jack Nicholson. He's still Jack fucking Nicholson. Okay.
I just remember that it reminds me of that episode of Futurama where they show Jack Nicholson's DNA reconstituted in a gorilla. And you just see this gorilla behaving like Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Great.
But no, I would say he's in my top 5 favorite Jokers.
How many Jokers have there been?
5.
There's been a lot.
No. When you think about it, of the actual Jokers, there's been in Adam West's Batman TV show. There was Mark Hamill's, Jared Leto's, Jack Nicholson's, and Heath Ledger. 5. Jared Leto I haven't seen yet, so I can't judge him. But Jack Nicholson, I can definitely say he's in my top 5.
I mean, again, it's like
fired.
he did a pretty alright job with a really bad movie. I gotta say, like, quote unquote bad. It wasn't horrible, but it was very a lot of issues. I feel like he did a pretty good job with what he had. Like,
No, his personality. He's got one of those personalities where you could stick him in a variety of roles, and he is entertaining to watch. There's a couple of actors. It's just the same thing as Sean Connery. There's the joke of, I'm a Spanish swordsman. I'm a Russian sub-commander. It's like Sean Connery plays Sean Connery in insert movie here. That's the same thing. He's got an entertaining personality, and therefore he's not bad to watch. Same thing with Jack Nicholson. They just put themselves.
Did he ever do a meta movie where he played himself?
I imagine I imagine Sean Connery would mind it.
You know who's getting to that point? Fucking Liam Neeson, man.
Liam Neeson.
Every time I see him in something, I'm like, Liam Neeson playing Liam Neeson.
There is actually a term now. It's like these movies that he's in, they call them Liam Neeson vehicles. Like that's what they call them.
That's what the Taken movies are. Let's be honest, the Taken movies are literally just Liam Neeson the movie. Like,
man, he sure is a terrible dad losing his daughter so often.
No, the great one was a Super Bowl commercial where he's playing like the mobile pay-to-win app, whatever the fuck it is. There was actually some person playing that game. Like, whenever he's like in the commercial, like, I don't know who you are, Galaxy 49731, but I will find you. And the joke was, there was actually a player in that game named Liam Neeson. And everybody wrecked his shit for like a week after that.
I remember, what movie was it? Into the Pale or something like that? It was a very mediocre movie. It was, I watched it like one time.
Oh, the one where you stuck in it's survival type movie?
It was literally Liam Neeson versus Woods in the forest. Like, that's what the movie was, and you could sum it up as that. It's like Liam Neeson battles wolves in the forest.
It's pretty much every movie is Liam Neeson versus. They should just call it. They should stop with the pretense of giving it creative names and just start calling it Liam Neeson versus.
Liam Neeson's manager just has like he's got like a every time he like shakes it up and pulls something out.
What are you gonna go against this week? Liam Neeson versus Godzilla. Wait, what?
Every time I go to play Fallout 3, I never think of it as the protagonist's father. I'm just like, Liam Neeson is somehow in the
No, the best one is rename the main character of Just Cause to Liam Neeson. A Michael Bay film starring Liam Neeson versus everything.
Hey, Michael Bay Simulator was one of the best Michael Bay simulators of all time.
It's actually a great game. I'm not insulting it by any means. It is actually a fantastic game. I still think it's hilarious. By the way, have you guys seen the viral video of the guy in Just Cause sticking a bunch of explosives to a cow's butt, and then it lights up like a fireworks and just goes spinning off?
Yes.
Because why not? Yes, Darth Maul. Darth Maul is the only person in the history of mankind to ever best Liam Neeson. But did he really best Liam Neeson? Or did
Liam Neeson let himself die, okay?
Or did Liam Neeson
Let's be
did
honest
Liam
here.
Neeson know that he had to be cut down so he could possess Ewan McGregor so that Ewan McGregor could be less of a bitch?
You know what? You know why Darth Maul is the only person to never kill Liam Neeson? Because they wouldn't leave him alone with Chuck Norris.
No, see, here's the thing: is that the reason why Darth Maul killed Liam Neeson is because Darth Maul
Norris is on the way.
didn't. No, Darth Maul didn't kidnap his daughter. It's only if you kidnap his daughter that he will find you and he will kill you. The Darth Maul is like, hey man, I don't really have any problems with you. And Darth Maul's like, all right, I'm just gonna kill you then. Unlike Sean Bean, on the other hand, can't stay alive to save his life. Yes, we are so far off topic, but
when Sean
All
Bean
right, so let's go to our
contract-
evergreen topic. Now that we're so off track.
well, no, like let's let me just finish typing up the little note on this one.
I was gonna say with Sean Bean, when he goes to sign the contract, there's literally a clause in there where it's just like, I
gonna
must
die.
die by this point in the movie.
Okay, but we can go ahead and move on to the evergreen topic. Before we do, I just want Kev to see the little ticker display down at the bottom. So our
I
evergreen
don't even know
topic.
what it's going to say, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be some kind of high quality peasantry.
So our evergreen topic today is actually talking about benchmarks, and we're going to discuss what benchmarks mean, their value to us, and kind of how we frame them in our means of making purchases. This kind of came from the 1080 reviews that came out earlier this week, where Kev and I kind of had a difference of opinion. Hence why the ticker display says Kev is wrong and he knows it. So our topic tonight is, why is Kev wrong? No, I'm kidding. So I guess our discussion here is kind of, first we'll get to the 1080 bit as kind of a backdrop to this. So Kev, why don't you, while I correct the ticker display to not be silliness, why don't you kind of share your, and you made a video about this, but why don't you kind of share your outline on the 1080?
I just didn't think the incremental jump from what I saw and the benchmarks that I saw were big enough. At least not from, enough to justify buying a new card. Unless you're maybe on a 600 series card, like a GTX 680 or something, then yeah, I can see that. But I don't know, if you're still on a 780 Ti, I still think you're kind of golden. If you're on the 980 Ti, I see no reason to sell it. Just not based on the performance boost, unless you're just a stickler for max settings. And for me in particular, it was the settings at 4K that were the problem. This card is phenomenal at 1080p. It's phenomenal at 1440p. But my 970 can handle 1440p really well. I've gotten into some debates about that online. But those of you that watch my channel regularly know I haven't played 1080p in months. I just play 1440p, 60 plus frames per second. No problems on most games. I think the only game that actually gave me a little bit of problems with that was Far Cry Primal.
No.
Everything else I'm playing 1440p, fairly high settings, 60 frames per second plus, no problems. If I'm not playing at ultra, I'm usually playing at high.
Yeah, so I'll kind of frame it up here on why I disagreed with Kev on there. Was kind of the he saw it as it didn't really have that much of an improvement. And I kind of framed it as we tend to oftentimes fall into a kind of a trap of revisionist history of we just look at comparing the 1080 versus these current cards that we're using. Whereas when we look back in history, the 780, for example, the 780, same grade of card, just two generations old, something like that, did not outperform the original Titan, which was a 6 series card. The original Titan.
Yeah, but the Titan wasn't marketed toward gamers either.
Well, no, it was eventually marketed towards gamers. It was just the original batch of Titans was bought up for the Titan supercomputer. That GPU specifically, not the card, but the GPU on it. But still, the actual 780 next generation after the Titan did not outperform the original Titan. The 980 currently does not outperform the Titan Black, which was the 7 series version of the Titan. The 1080 outperforms the Titan X. So whenever I look on the history,
Ti was really close though.
no, the 980 Ti and is a kind of close. Now, if you're looking at the graded performance, 980 Ti actually hovers almost right on the tail of the Titan X. So in most cases, people who buy Titan X's are kind of just wasting $300-$400 because the
that's what I was saying. You and I are on the same page.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking, if you're buying a Titan X, you like $300 or $400 probably isn't going to be as big of a deal to you.
Yeah,
like that's getting to the point where you're going to be spending in excess anyways. So
well, the thing is, and this is where I was going with it, is that when you look at the history of things, and keep in mind the 1080 is the third highest on the tier. So you've got the 1080 Ti, and then whatever the Pascal Titan's name will be, Titan Z. No, sorry, they already had a Titan Z.
Titan Y.
Titan Y, we'll say, or Titan P. We'll call it Titan P for Pascal. Whatever that will be, those are actually on an entirely different silicon, right? Those are on the GP100. The 1080 is on the GP104. It's actually a lower grade of GPU. So you're going to have two cards that have at least moderately greater performance. When you start off with a 1080, the third highest guy, outperforming the best that the current generation has to offer, I kind of saw that as, okay, color me impressed. I want to see what Polaris and Vega do, and I want to see what the 1080 Ti does. So I'm still not really, saying, oh yeah, the 1080 is the greatest card known to man. No, but whenever I look, the other thing I look at is, and this was kind of a huge deal, is that the 1080 actually barely outperformed the Fury X in Ashes of the Singularity, which for anybody who doesn't know, NVIDIA got their asses handed to them in that game by every fucking AMD card made in the last 4 years, because the AMD cards can handle async compute, which more or less means they can hand off tasks like if Kev and I are doing something at the same time, Kev gets done before I do, he can come help me with what I'm doing. That's pretty much what async compute is. So essentially, NVIDIA cards still, even the 1080, cannot do async compute natively. The 1080 just has a little help, so it seems like it can do it. But it's such a powerful card, it outperforms the Fury in Ashes of the Singularity, which is impressive. Is it the greatest card known to man? No. But I still think saying it's disappointing when I'm like, if you look at the history, it's definitely not disappointing. It has exceeded the trend of previous 80 series cards. That's where I'm at.
Well, I think, and also when you say disappointing, that's literally what my video was called, that the benchmarks are disappointing.
There's not just you either. There's a lot of people saying that. So
right.
you're on.
I'm pointing out from what I was saying.
Yeah,
it's disappointing because I came in there with expectations. Mm-hmm. I expected this card to destroy 4K at max settings, everything cranked out the way it was, and I don't see. And when I looked at the 4K benchmarks from where I'm seeing, because I looked at a variety of sources, which is different too. You mostly looked at Tom's hardware, and I looked at
I looked at 5 different benchmarks. And I settled on Tom's Hardware because they actually had the most thorough and the most even-handed one. Whenever the first thing they do is they throw out Ashes of the Singularity as a comparison, because that's NVIDIA's weak suit, and then go on and test like 7 other games, plus power consumption, plus acoustics, they are very thorough in their testing on there. I can't say the same about any other fucking article on that site. They are horrible journalists otherwise, but they do hardware reviews well.
Mm-hmm. What was it saying? Like, I looked at, I think, about 20 to 30 different videos, mainly on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And I looked at a lot of different articles there too. And I saw quite a few. Like, I know Tech of Tomorrow's numbers weren't far off from Tom's Hardware. But for the most part, what I saw, and I'm speaking specifically at 4K, I didn't see much of a jump beyond what we already had with the 980 Ti. And that's where I'm like, this is a great VR card. This is great at 1440p. This is great at 1080p. I'm just not seeing what I want to see at 4K. And I want to see a bigger push for games in 4K.
See, I gotta ask here real quick. So Sam Grizzle on Twitch was commenting that it's going to retail now. I'll get to the caveat on that. It's going to retail for $600. Well, not actually. At first, when it comes out, it's going to retail for $700 for NVIDIA's reference design. That's essentially price gouging early adopters, which I think is a fucking scam. That's stupid. But
well, I mean, that's not too far off from what is 980 Ti selling for right now.
Yeah, well, the catch $700, 980 Ti is about $650 or less. So the catch is that the OEM recommended price will be $600, and he essentially said that I'm stunned people are willing to pay that much. I want to be very clear on here that the 1080 is a flagship card. It is not your fucking 60 series or 70 series, which are meant to be 2 grade, I should say 50 to 70 series, which are meant to be 3 grades of mainstream consumer. When you get into the 80 series, there's a huge bump in price. So the 1070, it's probably going to release, I'm going to assume, somewhere plus or minus a few dollars at the 380.
380.
Yeah, $380, which is about in line with what the 970. I think the 970 was $350 at launch, right?
Yeah, I think so. About I got mine for $280.
That's about the high end of your mainstream cards. The 50 to 70 is your mainstream cards. That's what most consumers will buy in that range. The 80 steps up. There's a huge margin in price between the 70 series and the 80 series. And then from there, there's a little gap to the 80 Ti, and then another huge gap to the Titan. So
that price tag on the 1080 isn't surprising in the least.
Yeah, like I'm not sure it's not shocking.
People that buy 80 series cards are doing it either because they just got the money, they're hardcore enthusiasts, they want their card to last them a very, very long time.
That's my idea.
Or they're just showing off.
Yeah.
They're like, well, when I bought my 970, I think my 970 will probably last me another couple years, and I don't mind spending another $300 on a new graphics card.
And like, essentially, my idea is whatever card I end up with, and I'm kind of the mind I want to see the whole playing field first. So I'm probably gonna have to wait until early next year when the Vega, the AMD Vega, and the TI.
Is that coming out next year?
I know
they're supposed to show them off this month.
No, that's gonna be Polaris. So
I want to see what Polaris has to offer though.
So the thing is, and this is something else where I hear so many people being disappointed in the rather actually trend bucking performance of the 80 series cards. People disappointed in that, and I have a feeling that people are going to be disappointed in AMD because I guarantee, my theory is unsubstantiated opinion. My theory is that the Polaris cards will come out and will be extremely power efficient, not a huge increase in performance. They're kind of getting their shit together before they move forward, essentially. And so I have a feeling that you might see a little bit of performance games, but not a huge amount. And then essentially Vega, which is going to probably launch around the same time that NVIDIA is going to launch their Titan and 1080 Ti. They're going to launch Vega, which is going to have the performance increases. That's my theory. It just seems smart marketing to me.
That makes sense. Now, here's my thing, and this kind of why I'm like, I don't even have a problem with the way if AMD did it that way. Mm-hmm. Is AMD wasn't out here talking about, your 1070 is more powerful, or maybe it was the 1080, I don't recall, more powerful than two 980s and SLI. Paul's Hardware did a benchmark on that. No, that 1080 was not keeping up with the 980s and SLI.
Oh, like the 980 Ti SLI or 980 SLI?
No, the standard 980s. NVIDIA was selling it up like that.
Yeah, that's
why it's such a big.
Yeah, that to me seemed to me, and they actually there was a caveat to that, right? They're claiming that, and I caught it immediately, and I called bullshit as soon as I heard it. When they did the announcement of it, they said that it will run better than two 980 Ti's in SLI.
It's a 2980 standard, not Ti.
Oh yeah,
Let's
two
reference.
980s in SLI doesn't really matter. Asterisk in VR applications.
Oh, see, I didn't catch the VR part.
Yeah, that
So
was
I'm like,
it was an asterisk. It was the little fine print text there that they had.
Mhm.
Although fine print text was like actually like a foot tall because it was on a big projection screen behind the guy talking about it. The point is
yeah, see,
that was their
that
claim.
statement got me excited about the 1080.
That was their claim, is that it would outperform in VR because and this is actually still accurate. The way that it's geared, it is going to be better geared for VR applications. The problem is that making that statement and making it fine print, you shouldn't do that because people aren't going to catch the proper correlative there. They're going to summarize the first sentence of it better than two 980s in SLI. Well, no one's going to believe it now. Now you just lost credibility. It does, as they claimed, it does fucking outperform the Titan X. That is impressive. Whenever your best of the best card from the Maxwell generation, 980 Ti.
Are they still Maxwell cards?
Huh? Oh, sorry,
These
not
are Maxwell cards, are they?
No, Pascal. 1080's Pascal.
Yes,
But the 970, 980, 980 Ti, and Titan X are all Maxwell. And that's the impressive thing, is that the 1080 outperforms them all. Now, bringing this back on the topic, so we kind of got our disagreement here. Like Kev wasn't impressed because there was a lot of claims being made that were not met up to. I guess the importance here is why are benchmarks kind of so key to our decision-making process? Most people don't care about the numbers, but it's still like, why would we need benchmarks whenever you see the marketing material from NVIDIA on this, right?
I think it depends on what you want. Like for me, you got to justify my upgrade. I'm still on a 4770 because I see no reason to upgrade my CPU. And I look at it that way very much so with this graphics card. Justify me upgrading from a 970 or I'm going to stay put.
Well, you really shouldn't. You should be hopping generations, right? And ideally, you should go every other generation. So you should be looking at the 1170.
Even then, if that doesn't have the performance I want, and I might even jump on AMD.
Yeah,
like
or whatever the equivalent.
Which is kind of funny this week too, because the NVIDIA fanboys have been coming at him everywhere talking shit.
And the thing is that Polaris hasn't even shown up yet, so we can't really say anything until you have all the facts. So, yeah.
Right.
But then again, AMD fanboys.
Blow our minds.
AMD, I don't think so.
I don't think they will either, but they could. You never know.
The thing is that you hear fanboys on all sides claiming all the incredible stuff. I want to see what they can do because I definitely want the possibility for good competition either end. Previously, although don't get me wrong, in Ashes of the Singularity and select other DX12 titles, NVIDIA or AMD did have the edge. But as I joke with Jeremy, who's got an AMD CPU and an AMD GPU, you got a space heater. They are so energy inefficient right now. And Zyphon's been joking about that. I kid with him. He's got an actually pretty good.
I almost feel bad because I recommended him that configuration, the 8350 and the 390.
No, it will do well. It will run your games very well. It's just that it's not the most power efficient because it's like a lot of power and it's going to heat up a lot. But he's got He's got water cooling on the CPU, so it stays nice and cool, and the GPU runs within acceptable temperatures, so it's not bad. It's just not the most efficient. You can't do a whole lot with it. But in any case, though, so we're not running over too long. We'll kind of roll this into our final thoughts on here, so we can kind of get it. Travis, kind of final thoughts on this topic or any other topics?
Well, I couldn't really contribute too much to the last evergreen topic very much yet, but maybe we'll have to revisit it once I actually have a build.
Stop buying guns.
I haven't actually purchased any yet, so my money was spent on a car. So yeah,
cars and guns. You just like Xbox fanboys, dude. Guns and cars.
Damn it! I need that.
I'm saving up.
Goddamn AK-47.
I was gonna say I'm saving up for an AK-47.
Goddamn motherfucking AK-47.
It's like I need another AK. Okay, it's too much work, in the field to change my sight configuration. I
It-
need multiple rifles with different.
It is the
configurations.
world's.
It is the
It is
most manufactured gun
You
in
know what's
history.
better than
In
one
history.
AK-47? Two
Seven.
AK-47. Or in fact, 7 AK-47s.
I have 47 AK-47s.
So I just thrown it out there. I only need 2. I need one that's silver and one that's steel.
Yes.
Anybody catch
Fuck,
the
I
reference?
need a solid gold AK-47.
What is
Had
it,
it Call of
COD?
Duty.
You have diamond too?
Yeah.
you know
so-
they actually
I have a giant
pulled,
silver Desert Eagle.
they actually pulled those from like Saddam Hussein's compound,
I-
golden AKs.
Oh
Wow.
my.
I need that golden AK and the golden Desert Eagle.
Yeah. So
I thought
so
both-
Joe, what's your final thoughts on tonight? Aside from goddamn motherfucking AK-47.
I actually don't have much.
he's all AK-47 now.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
All right, Kev, go ahead.
Dude!
Oh, I'll give that my final thought. Kev, it downloaded while the podcast was going, so I'll go to play it
Good.
after this.
Good.
So next
Enjoy.
weekend, I can talk about it.
Enjoy it. Because I'm playing Uncharted still. I'm enjoying Uncharted. Other than that, I'm wrapping up schoolwork because I graduate on the 11th. It's like 3 weeks away. I'm excited.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, oh yeah, also shout out to Zyphon because he just got that 960.
Yeah. Fucking
so-
over 1500, like 1.5 gigahertz on the
Oh.
overclock.
Let's not talk about that. I tried to overclock my 970 yesterday.
Kev is salty as shit because
I'm salty that I couldn't overclock my already overclocked 970.
yeah,
I
it's
bought a
super
factory
clocked.
overclocked 970.
Because you
and
have
then
an
tried-
EVGA super clock,
Oh
right?
my
Yeah,
God.
yeah, super clock. And I forgot that it was super clock, so I tried to get like a 50 megahertz overclock on to get crashing my system.
You should see, man. I have like an AMD CPU, and I'm running like a 700 series, 760 video card.
Yeah,
My computer in some games runs so hot, man.
Yo, I'm telling you though, man, get off of that 4300. I think you're
I
on
know.
AM plus, right?
That's my next thing. When I
I'll go
start,
get off that stay on AM3 plus, grab the 8350. You'll be golden for a while.
I know
That's-
that's
And 760 still gonna be fine.
yeah. That's
got-
the main
you-
thing is
No, you
when I
got
start
to get one of those
working first
FX9 series. They're space heaters.
Why grab FX9 series even at that?
They cook your
Like-
breakfast for you. Like you can throw an egg on top of your case and it instantly fries it.
Listen, I'm gonna be busy, okay? I need to be able to
And
use.
then grab a 380. grab a R9 380 after that.
Nah, man, you gotta get that. Like honestly, when you talk about like the 370 for being a good performance model, I'm not gonna
It
lie.
is.
The R9 390X at $400 is a damn good fucking monetary offering. I'll throw that out there. Anybody
Well,
looking for GPU?
I think the entire AMD mid-range line is, and I'm
The
big on
390X is actually one of their flagships. It is on par with the 80 series and
980.
costs $150 less. So it's like you're getting damn good performance. So
right. But what I was saying is I like price for performance, which is why I kind of like mid-range cards. Like that's why I'm so interested in checking out AMD and what they have to offer. Because if I'm afraid of Nvidia gimping the drivers on my 970. if they do that, I'm looking right at AMD. I'll go grab me a 380.
I'm highly suspect of gimping drivers on that shit because I'm running a 650 Ti boost. I'm playing The Witcher 3, and
But you're playing with your monitor 720p.
yeah, and I'm also running on lower settings. The game is not. It doesn't even say like if you look at the minimum recommended specs, it says a 660. Like I shouldn't
Right.
even be able to run the game at all. So gimping drivers, my ass. Like I think people that do that like are either doing something dumb. They either have a faulty product, or they just want to talk shit because they're an AMD fanboy. And I'm saying I have not witnessed yet an AMD card or an NVIDIA card where the company deliberately made drivers to gimp the card so you would have to buy the new generation. No.
I hope not.
No.
Because I'm not buying their new generation card. I'll take my happy ass
No,
over to
like
AIM.
I said, I have not yet encountered that as a thing. I've seen people, trying to claim that shit happening, and like I said, I have not seen it from anybody. I know some people that run with 670s still run. I've seen people that run it with 5 series cards. Now that has kind of been gimped, 5 series NVIDIA cards, because they don't support.
Are like 6 years old, aren't they?
Yeah, but they don't run DirectX 11. That's
Right.
where you might say they've been gimped. But come on now, they're fucking
6 years old.
6 years old. So at that point, yeah, okay. I know someone who has a 580, or actually, sorry, 2 580s in his computer, and he says he can still run a lot of games, but there's still he runs into DirectX 11 issues on some games. So gimping drivers, think that's bullshit. Anyway, I'll go ahead and kind of wrap up on here since we're now running way over, but whatever. So obviously you guys know who I am, and we're here every week. As we kind of close up shop on here, we're here live every Sunday night at 7 p.m. If you guys want to check us out next week. Or if you want to chat with us throughout the week, we are on Discord almost constantly. That's where a lot of these debates and stuff like that come in, where Kev has some crazy idea that that the 1080 was a disappointment, and I know for a fact that ET was the best game ever made. So you can check a link in the description there to our Discord server and chat with us on there. And then there's also a link to Kev's channel down in the description as well. If you want to hear the podcast, video on demand, you can check out his channel there. He has some nice little gameplay to go with it. Once again, we'll go ahead and sign off tonight for this week's podcast, and we will catch you all next week on the Pixel Crashers podcast.